Another movement that influenced the New Age movement that rose to popularity in the 1900s was a religion established by Aleister Crowley, titled The Law of Thelema. Its slogan was, "Do what thou shalt wilt." In Crowley's writings, the law of Thelema is explained in terms of true will, the ultimate spiritual core of each person, which has a divinely self-ordained path through the world of experience. Do what thou wilt refers not to the outer emotional and intellectual self, but to the sacred inner core of personal divinity. In Crowley's terms, this law does away with supposed outdated moral codes and societal norms to whatever the individual feels is right at any moment or any given time. In Crowley's view, someone who follows the law of will might look sinful to others who may be outdated. While on the surface, this kind of philosophy, much like the New Age sounding philosophy, it sounds very liberating to one's natural mind. If you keep reading as to where he got these concepts, it turns out that these concepts actually came from deities or spirits that visited Crowley and gave him this supposed sacred information. Crowley claimed the law of Thelema was dictated to him by a supernatural being calling himself always. The book's 3 chapters are largely written in the first-person narrative by the Thelemic deities, 3 different deities, respectively. Crowley described the encounter in detail in the Equinox of the Gods, saying that as he sat at his desk, the voice of always came from over his left shoulder in the furthest corner of the room. This voice is described as passionate and hurried and was of deep timbre, musical and expressive, its tones solemn, tender, fierce, or aught else as suited the moods of the message, not bass, perhaps a rich tenor. Further, the voice was devoid of native or foreign accent. Crowley's writings and philosophy has inspired other similar religions such as Wicca, the riots of modern paganism, chaos magic, and variations of Satanism. What did Aleister Crowley believe exactly? What inspired his philosophy besides these beings? A few excerpts from Hungry for Heaven by Steve Turner can shed some light on these areas. Born in 1875, Aleister Crowley, like the Rolling Stones, rebelled against regulated small-town background. He had been raised in Leamington, Warwickshire, by parents who were members of the Strict Brethren and fundamentalist Christian sect. From an early age, young Aliester identified with the enemies of God in the Bible stories that were read to him. In particular, he identified with the Antichrist predicted in the book of Revelation, and in 1898 he joined the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a magical society. Most of Crowley's adult life was dedicated to indulging in everything he believed God would hate, performing sex magic, taking heroin, opium, hash, cocaine, invoking spirits, and even once offering himself to the Russian authorities to help destroy Christianity. He wrote volumes of books that he believed were dictated to him by a spirit from ancient Egypt called Awas. To worship me, take wine and strange drugs, the spirit conveniently told him. Lust, enjoy all things of sense and rapture. Fear not that any god shall deny thee for this. In addition, it is believed that Aleister Crowley worshipped the demon god Pan, the god of sexuality and lust. His hymn to Pan was read at his funeral. Further, Crowley believed in human sacrifice and once said, "A maid child of perfect innocence is the most suitable victim." It is also said that he was a 33rd degree Freemason. This man went on to influence many popular musicians from our past as well as today. Furthermore, he has influenced several political figures, and this should be concerning. Consider his very ungodly lifestyle and belief system he influenced his others to subscribe to. In addition, consider these statements made in Crowley's writings. Quote, "The serpent Satan is not the enemy of man, but he who made God of our race. Knowing good and evil, he bade know thyself and taught initiation. He is the devil of the book of Thoth, and the emblem is Baphomet." End quote. Quote, "It is, however, always easy to call upon the demons, for they are always calling you, and you only have to step down to their level. They will then tear you into pieces at their leisure. Nevertheless, every magician must firmly extend him empire to the depth of hell." End quote. Quote, "For the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. For nearly all purposes, human sacrifice is the best." End quote. Quote, "I was not content to believe in a personal devil and serve him in the ordinary sense of the word. I wanted to get a hold of him and personally become his chief of staff." End quote.